We're very excited to start spring today. Been looking forward to this for a while. Our goals, like always, we've got 3 of them going into spring practice. Number one is understand and execution of our base offense, defense, and special teams. Obviously, we have the same offense, we have the same special teams, but we do have a new defense we're installing. So at the end of spring, to have a good understanding and execution of all 3 phases. The second one is to get our edge back, and that's that physical and mental, that toughness, that hard-nosed edge that we kind of lost towards the end of last year. And we're going to be very physical in spring, and we're going to get that back. And really the third goal is really to develop trust between coaches and players. We have some new coaches on our staff. Our theme is really count on me, and it's going to be that each player, you can count on each other, count on from a coach's standpoint and everything that goes with that. A couple updates. Anthony Swain has decided to graduate, which he'll graduate here this spring. He's no longer going to be with us. We really appreciate everything he did during his time to help us here at Auburn. Jimmy Hutchison, our punter, has decided to explore other opportunities. We appreciate his time here at Auburn also. Also got a couple new hires that I wanted to update everybody on. Kenneth Carter, a former player, has been hired on an operations role, off the field role, and our new analyst is Jeff Nord. He is a guy that when I was at Arkansas in 2006 was our offensive GA. I've got a lot of familiarity with him.
Any questions?
Is Jimmy planning to transfer, or is he staying in camp?
I'm not sure at this time.
Who will punt this spring?
What's that?
Who's going to punt this spring?
Daniel will obviously do the majority of that, and then we have a couple walk-ons that will also have a chance to show what they can do.
Just you talked about getting your edge back physically and what happened last year. When you go back and look at what happened last year, how much of it was just the schedule, it just caught up with you, and that grind of games that you had that was just so difficult?
Well, like I said before, I really do feel like we had the toughest schedule in college football, and you had to bring your A game every week. But at the same time, we knew that going in. We knew it was going to be a challenge, and you've got to overcome things like that. And we didn't do that, and we definitely lost our edge. That especially toward the end of the year.
How do you go about splitting snaps between the quarterbacks?
Well, of course, Jeremy Johnson will be our first quarterback to take snaps. Sean White, Tyler Queen, Jason Smith will all get reps. Coach Lashley has a plan, especially the first few days of spring. You want to make sure when you're installing the base offense that you give each one of these guys enough reps to feel comfortable. And then as spring goes on, then you start identifying the guys that are a little ahead of the others, and you start giving them majority of the snaps. But our plan today is all 4 guys will get snaps. It could be fairly equal, at least the first few days when we're installing our base offense.
Gus, even though he hasn't been a starter, how valuable is it for Jeremy to have been in the program for as long as he has?
Well, I think it's very valuable, the fact he's been in our program for 2 years. He ran a very similar offense in high school, and so he understands everything that goes with it. He got a lot of practice reps the last 2 seasons, and obviously started against Arkansas and just did an outstanding job with that. Got to play some throughout the last 2 years, but we have a lot of confidence in Jeremy. He's going to have to go out there and win the starting job, but he's in a very good spot. We have a lot of confidence in him.
Is Jason Smith going to be double learning? Is he going to be staying on quarterback?
Yeah, Jason Smith's going to start out playing quarterback, and we're going to give him an opportunity to try to win that job, and that's what we recruited him to do, and he seems very excited about it.
Is there a timetable, though, for if he is not able to?
There's no timetable. We're going to give him a fair shot, and we'll see how that goes.
Will Braden Smith start out at guard or tackle?
Yeah, Braden Smith's going to start out at guard. He's going to start out at guard. Avery Young's going to start out at tackle, and then we'll kind of go from there. As far as Alex Kozan's concerned, he is going to be limited. There will be some things he can do. He's not totally cleared, to go full speed at this time, but he will do some things. Jordan Diamond will also get some reps, and he'll be in a limited role also.
Who will be the first center?
First center is going to be Austin Golson and Xavier Dampier. Both those guys will get opportunities, along with Deion Mix. Those are the three guys that are competing for that job.
What did Golson do to really all of a sudden move him from a tackle spot to center when Dampier had been there for a couple of years?
Yeah, well, we saw in our bowl prep that he was athletic enough to do that, and so we gave him a few reps there. He looked pretty good, and so from a center standpoint, it's very important to what we do. Like I've said before, it's almost like another quarterback. As far as everything we ask him to do with our no huddle scheme and the pace that we play, the ID and all that. So we're going to give him an opportunity, but that doesn't mean that we're not confident in Dampier. I mean, he's a guy that's got a lot of snaps. It just means that those three guys will get opportunities, kind of like the quarterbacks. I mean, we want to make sure those guys get equal opportunities as we're installing the base offense, and then we'll see how it sorts out, after that.
Gus, is there a number one running back, or will it just be kind of?
Yeah, we're going to do like we did the very first year we were here. We got Rock, we got Peyton Barber, we got Javon. Those guys will be rotated. We'll try to put those guys in equal situations, equal situations with the first line, with the second line. And we'll rotate those guys. All three of those guys we feel like have a chance to really be good in our system. We're going to give them opportunity to show what they can do. We're going to go a lot of live. When we can go live when it's legal, we're going to go live, and those guys will get tackled. So we're going to have a really good evaluation by the end of spring on all three of the guys.
Gus, do you expect St. True to be able to do anything this spring?
He will be limited in a certain role. He's similar to Kozan and Diamond. He's not completely cleared, but he's a guy that we're going to get some work out of.
How positive is it that you get Kozan back out there doing some things?
No, I think it's very positive. Kozan, 2 years ago was one of our leaders. There's no doubt, and his absence last year was definitely felt, not just from a playing but a leadership. He's a great worker. His teammates have a lot of respect for him. So just by him being out there is going to be a breath of fresh air.
How much do you go into this spring having a pretty firm grasp on what you want to do on offense and kind of install this spring? Because obviously it's going to be a little bit different from what you've had in the past in the zone.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. Last year we had a lot of guys coming back. We had a lot of good information about what we had. There's a lot of areas that are wide open. So we're going to be very basic starting out. Obviously, we're installing a new defense too. So it's just going to be really back to the basics as far as the way we install. And then we'll see how the progression, once you get to the midpoint of spring ball, you kind of reevaluate how fast you want to go with the extra things. But, you want to give each one of these guys an equal opportunity to compete for a position. And as basic as you can be, it allows coaches a lot easier opportunity to evaluate, a true evaluation for guys.
You lost seniors at both H-back and tight end. Are Chris and Chandler the top two there, or is Patrick Young or Gage Bennett, are they back in H-back, or what's
Yeah, well, you got Cameron Petway and Chandler Cox. You got Chris Lay and Greg Hall. As far as those positions are going to start out today, and we're going to give those guys equal opportunities, to show what they can do.
Gage leave the program?
Gage Batten is no longer with us. Matter of fact, he hadn't been with us since the bowl. Decided to do some things closer to home.
Gus, from a cleansing standpoint, from the way last season finished, how much as a coach do you look forward to just getting into the spring? And are those 2 months tough for you just as a pure football guy?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, of course, obviously you got recruiting in the middle of it, and then once the recruiting's over, then you can truly transition into the spring. And this is really the first true day of the next year. So that's the exciting part, from a coach's standpoint. That, hey, last year that's behind. Now it's time to move forward. Our coaches are extremely excited to get out there. I think our players are excited too. Like I said, got a lot of young guys out there. That are ready and they're hungry, and we're ready to see what they can do.
Just aside from just the pure football standpoint of what Will Muschamp brings, just from a rejuvenation energy standpoint, do you guys feel felt a little jolt since he's come in?
No, there's no doubt about that. You know, he's a great, first of all, he's a true professional. You know, he's one of the best in the business, so a guy like that gives a lot of people around him confidence, not only his defensive coaches, but you can even tell the defensive players. So, you know, we're looking forward to today, and we're looking forward to the spring, and really seeing the improvement that we make from today until the last day of spring.
Is Stu coming into spring facing any additional punishment from the bowl? Or is
No,
he-
no, he's in good standing, just like everybody else, you know, up to this point.
Obviously, it's huge to have two boys back, but do you feel like there's a sense of responsibility for him to be a leader on the offense coming up this spring?
Well, you know, I would say we ask a lot of our seniors each year, and he's definitely a senior. He's been with us 1 year and knows the expectations. And so we're going to ask him, along with the rest of our seniors, really to lead and guide this team, you know, like we expect.
Gus, during the ball practices, Rhett said that Cameron Petway moving to H-back was an experiment. So now is that a full-time move? Or
Yeah,
you still just
it's a
working?
full-time move, and at least at this point. I mean, he has running back skills, and he could also do some running back, but we're going to give him a chance to win that job. And he did catch our eye in bowl practice. It's something that he is excited about, and you know, really feel like that he gives us a lot of versatility, you know, at that position. He catches the ball well. He's got running back skills, and he is very big and very physical.
You got it.
Josh Holsey played corner and safety last year. Do you know which one he's going to play mostly this spring? And is there any other guys in the secondary that are playing different than they did last year?
Yeah, Coach Muschamp's going to start him out at corner, but he does have the ability to play safety, and I think he'll move some people around too. That you know, you could probably see Jonathan Ford to play some corner too and safety. He just wants to make sure that you know, not only give guys opportunities, but to develop depth, and that's going to be a big factor, you know, coming into fall.
Kevin, you set out to play this past year after the transfer. Where does Trey Matthews fall at this point on the depth chart?
Yeah, Trey's going to be at safety, and he's going to be competing for one of those positions.
Gus, how much can the early enrollees benefit from being here for spring practice?
Oh, it's greatly. I mean, it gives those guys a chance, and really more importantly, it gives our coaches a chance to see them and what they can and can't do, what they need to improve on, and it gives them a big advantage, you know, than going through 15 days of spring practice than showing up, you know, at the end of May.
He's such a dynamic runner. How might the offense look a little different under Jeremy to take advantage of his strengths?
Yeah, well, we'll build around our starting quarterback, and like I said earlier, I mean, Jeremy's the you know, the guy that's going to take the first snap. He's got the most experience, and Jeremy's a good runner within his own right. Right now, he's not exactly like Nick, but he's a very good runner. He throws the ball extremely well. But you know, all of our quarterbacks are going to have a run element. All these guys we put out there, we feel like will be able to be efficient in the run game. I mean, compared to Nick, that's really hard to compare. I mean, Nick's one of the better runners from a quarterback standpoint probably this league has seen. So, but all of them can run.
These last two years, excuse me, you've been very vocal with the rules changes. Do you have any idea of how maybe you could be more involved in that standpoint? Do you have any ideas of how maybe to allow other coaches on the outside maybe hear their voices heard a little more?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's the big thing is just the process of everything. You know, getting you know, more people involved in that process that leads up to it. I'm very pleased that you know, that rule proposal was put back and tabled until, you know, further discussion. I think that would have been a real drastic change, but I'm glad that we're just going to make that a point of emphasis.
Gus, the last 2 years, you've made it a point over and over again to say that Nick didn't go through the spring that first go around, and how important that was, and how much value you placed on it. To have Jeremy at this point going through it multiple times, what is the value difference you see in him doing it for his second?
Yeah, I think the experience factor of just the overall, you know, offense first of all. Then you throw in to the fact that the position coach and the coordinator's back. The offense is the same. You know, I think that's got to help. He's got a very good understanding. I would say he's thinking like coaches. So it's got to help. There's no doubt.
Gus, what are your expectations for a guy like Sean Coleman now with a year under his belt, having a chance now to kind of look at what he did last year?
Yeah, well, you know, Sean did some very good things last year. but it was his first real football in 4 years. And so we truly believe that, after he's got that year under his belt, the experience that goes with that, he's a very smart individual. He's very strong. He's very talented. We really feel like now he'll be able to just loosen up and play. We really believe he's got a chance to be a really good left tackle in this league.
What do you expect to see from redshirt freshman like Dontavius on the defensive end?
From who?
Dontavius?
Russell,
Oh, Dontavius. They said John Tavius. Yeah, Dontavius. He's an extremely talented guy. He's a guy that, there was talk about not redshirting early and even kind of into some games because we felt like that, he's a very athletic guy, very talented guy. We think he's got a chance to, with a good spring, got a chance to be a very good player for us, next year.
How about the redshirt freshman as a whole? How big is this spring for them guys, the scouting guys?
Yeah, it's very important for those guys. The fact that they've been on the scout team, now this is their time. This is their time to go ahead and compete for a job. And so all those redshirt freshmen, I've seen urgency even in our mat drills and stuff like that. Seen the difference in those guys. And obviously a day like this, when they actually feel like they're competing for a position, it usually brings out the best in people.
Got one more coach up there in the front row.
Gus, do you enter the spring feeling like Ricardo Lewis is your number 2 receiver, or is that something you hope exiting the spring you'll be able to identify?
Well, he's a guy that has a lot of experience, and all the seniors that have experience, we really asked them to raise their level. He's one of those guys. He's made a lot of plays for us in the past. We expect big things out of Ricardo.